goes another 20-year-old.
Holy shit, I hate those guys.
Gotta hate 20-year-olds.
Fuck these guys.
Somebody help these 20.
It's time to figure it out, Ricky.
Fucking touch me.
Don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me.
Yeah, I was watching the last video and we looked, it's just completely like creviced in this thing.
Yeah, how we doing?
We're just stuck in the middle here.
Too many jams here.
Yeah, yo, Trav's side looks like he has a ton of real estate over there.
Oh, it's because I did. I was
it's
taking.
the cushion.
It's a cushion.
Oh, dude, that's why. Yeah, okay.
We're joined with by Spenny today, a real estate agent.
Oh, we're live right now.
Who just got me a new listing about 3 inches to the left on this couch here.
And I did it for 4/5 commish. So
That's a very generous guy right there. You know what it is today? When you're hearing this, it's going to be 2019.
that's true.
Let
And
that sink
you know what
in.
that means?
It's the 1-year birthday of Too Many Jams. We released our first episode
High
1
five.
year ago.
Not
High
a big deal.
five.
Congrats, boys.
Very
And
nice.
Happy to be here. Don't leave me.
Spen-
Almost left me.
Spencer gets to be our first guest of the new year. So, we've got a nice little
Pop a
bottle
little
of bubbly.
Obviously the most expensive
Only the best.
Yellowtail. Is that?
Yellowtail.
That's
pricey.
pricey.
Primo.
It's imported.
It's okay. We'll expense it from all that revenue we have.
Exactly.
You know what? Just give me a sec here.
Oh,
come on.
no.
Tell me I can't even pop this.
Oh no, boys.
Get the fuck out of town. Look at this.
You gotta be kidding
It's like
me.
a pressure release top.
What is that?
Fuck.
I didn't even look. I just expected all bubbly to.
Honestly, Rob, add this to your turkeys for 2019. I know we just last episode did your fucking turkey. I was going to blow this.
Oh my god.
Okay, here, 1 sec here.
I don't even know how those work. Like,
Yeah, like what is that thing? And everyone was at the LCBO this morning too,
And their mother.
and their mothers. 11:45 on a Friday morning. Like, is it closing down this weekend?
How the fuck
it's
do you even
the,
open
it's the
this?
holidays, you know. Like
Yeah.
Click to
everyone's
reseal.
waiting.
Oh, no.
Like, who saves champagne anyways?
Okay,
You gotta
there's
pull
a,
the
there's a
little
twist plastic. All right.
Okay.
Engineering.
Does that thing pop? Maybe this thing pops. Oh! It still
That scared
makes a
the shit out of me.
popping noise.
Still pops. Still pops.
Cool.
Pour some bubbly. Some for you. Oh. Some for you. Ooh. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you know, Robbie and I are fucking bartenders. Let's go. Poured a
Yeah,
lot
you
of
probably should
champagne.
have done a better job then, eh?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I fucking did it perfect. Is it off camera? Perfect, because I fucked that up. Pourvu.
Thank you.
There you are.
Merci.
By the way, it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's the holidays.
It's the
Friday.
holidays.
It's the holidays.
It's Friday.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
To a new
Congratulations.
season.
Thank you. To a new season. To you. To us. Let's
Thank
go.
you.
Oh my God, that's delightful.
Not bad.
Yellowtail.
And it's warm too. Man, no.
It is warm.
Mm-hmm.
Was there not a fridge?
They don't have a refrigerated section, I don't think.
It's okay.
The LCBO for champagne.
Um,
Oh, that's what we're doing, eh?
Rob covered his bases there. There was no refrigerated section at the LCBO.
no, there's no fridge there. Well, let's start by saying, if you noticed, our guest Spencer Withers probably only had one small sip because he is a lawyer or about to be, and
We got to keep it PG.
yes. Spenny, we're gonna have to keep this episode. Not that Spenny's ever done anything unprofessional in his life.
Crispy, clean slate.
Yes, he is the most law-abiding person
Straight
I know.
arrow.
Most respectable guy, but he is currently finishing up law school in Windsor, and we're going to get into all about that. But first, Rob, I think you're sitting on my notes.
No, they're over there.
They're over there.
Yeah.
Ugh. Welcome, Spencer.
Thanks for having me, boys. Excited to be here.
Are you actually, though?
I am, yeah.
I can see right through this bullshit right now.
Spencer actually lives just up the street.
Yeah, Trav and I have been longtime neighbors, short-time friends.
Long-time neighbors, short-time. Let's get into that, how we met. We've been street buddies, or like street neighbors for a while, but we only met when I was 17 and you were 16.
In high school in the summer in Muskoka.
I got a job working at the Cleveland's House Resort in Muskoka.
And I was working at another sailing club camp and coaching sailing. And
Rich.
We bumped into each other at a few cocktail parties.
Yes, there was a few regal soirees up north, if you will. No, our mutual buddy Sean McCarroll, he's a high school friend of mine, will definitely be on this season too.
Shout out to the Bruce.
Shout out to Brucey.
That's Sean's dad?
No,
that's Sean. I actually have no idea where that story comes from.
Our nicknames they're insane. Like, we call a guy named Sean Bruce.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense.
Doesn't even make sense.
Spencer's nickname is Scampy. Shrimp Scampy. I forgot about that.
Nah, I didn't know what Scampi was until I was reading a menu one time, and I realized it's a food item.
Yeah. It's a delicacy in some places.
Yeah, because one time you made up a story for Sean where your buddy Scampy was like doing opt all this stuff, and Sean's telling me, he's like, yeah, they got this buddy like Scampy, they call him Shrimp Scampy or whatever it was, and then
Sean just bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah,
and thought it was an actual person when it was just an appetizer.
You're like, yeah, Scamps is coming over. Yeah, he's a weapon. Yeah, he's got all these girls. Like, he's coming over. Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be nuts.
Borrowed his mom's car. He'll be here in 20.
So yeah, Scampy, and then so we were up north. Sean. I'd go to his cottage all the time because as much as I love staying in ratty, old, moldy, disgusting, worn down Cleveland's House residence, Sean's very nice Muskoka cottage was just a little bit better.
Oh, no, hands down.
Yeah. Step up.
Yeah,
maybe.
like cliffside, it's probably, it's like, that's all right. Boats.
Boathouse.
And then Sean's like, we got this buddy, Withers, you're going to love him. It's actually a set of brothers, so they come in two. And they came over, and these guys just set the tone. Responsibly, of course. He's a lawyer. And we had some memories. We had some times.
Yeah. Hell of a few summers. You did a couple summers, right?
Well, okay, I did Cleveland's House that first year. I didn't get hired back. That's a long story.
Why was that?
That's a long story.
Lost his bronze med.
Too many people died on my shift while lifeguarding. It's a tough one to come back to. And then I worked at the Marriott across the bay the next year as a towel boy. Very disrespected by the staff, by the clients. Some highlights from that job: being told to get a real education, and people would rip on me. The Marriott had a major towel shortage.
Yeah,
and all I could do was run towels to and from the pools. Tragic. So like there would be like families there where like the mom would just fucking lay into me. They're like, we pay $500 a night. You don't have a fucking towel. I'm like, ma'am, like there's a shortage. I'm like waiting for them to be done, and she's like, you can't even be a towel boy. Like get an education. Like you know how much we pay for this? And I'm sitting there being like, I'm in school right now. I'm at Western. Like in my mind, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, actually, my family's staying in the resort right now. They're on vacation too. But I just had to be like, yes, ma'am, I'm a peasant. Yes. We have a lot of stories from that summer, though. I haven't told yet, like the cop stories and sleeping out of my car. And
I think you have.
Not on the pod.
Haven't you? No. I used to get some of that.
One summer you rented a place too, no?
The next summer,
like with Merck and those guys.
Yeah. So we did. If you're familiar with Muskoka, you know the key to Bala. You know Bala. My friend and I ran. My couple friends and I ran a college pro franchise in Muskoka the third summer.
Okay, there we are.
And we rented a house, a cottage in Bala with three girls, me and my buddy and three girls.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. And it was a Jersey Shore house. You're living in like a summer town right on the water with the biggest club in the area just up the street, and everyone would come over pre-AP after party, sleep there. Like it was an absolute animal house.
The dream.
You were never there though because you were always in bed by 11:30.
Yeah, exactly. Teeth brush.
You were studying in advance for your career.
Had to get a pre-sale in the morning before you had to go teach the next day.
Yeah, sail. Yeah,
maybe even a run. Who knows?
You could. Yeah, you couldn't sail into our cottage, so unfortunately. But no, I remember some times. I know we can't really speak about any of this stuff. Just because you are on a tight ship now, you know what I mean? Like this is your career.
That
you
was
can't.
a sailing reference.
Yes. Yeah. I was trying to name
Spenny
some.
runs a tight ship. Yeah.
I was trying to name some other stuff, but I do remember being near you and having hilarious stories happen.
Yeah, we'd throw down at the McCarroll cottage all the time. Like we had some summers back to back. Let's just say that.
Yeah, one specifically I can think of is Sean had a boathouse. We had just come back from going to the Key. You know, we get down to his boathouse. The bus dropped us off. You know, we're all wasted. You're of course very in control. Very in control.
And boathouses are good for jumping off of.
Right. So he has this boathouse, and it's got a second story, and you can jump off the railing, or if you're super nails, you can climb on the roof. And there's a slanted roof you can run down. Robbie's actually backflipped off of it before. The most nails thing I've seen. Pretty dope. We got pictures of it. It's on his
We'll
Instagram.
link it in the show notes.
And then, so it was a rainy night. I remember that. I remember being like
pouring.
And I remember being like, I jump off this thing all the time. You like, let's do it. It's nighttime. Like, this is a great idea. And I somehow decided to do it naked. Don't know why, but I ended up getting up to the top of the shingles. They're like wood, like Muskoka shingles. I'm on top there. I'm ready to rock. I take 2 steps and I slip because it's so wet from the rain.
And we're all freaking out, thinking like, "Oh God, like that's bad." Like
Well,
but 2 seconds later,
well, it's about 30 feet at least. Like
Yeah.
it's a second story and a roof. And all I remember is once I hit my butt, the momentum and the wetness, I was going down the roof. I was like, I'm fucked. And then if this pencils my body, I know you can't see unless you're watching the video. I basically slid, and then when I hit the roof, instead of like pencil diving, I flew forward. I belly flopped from about 30 feet, and in the pitch black
Shit.
in the rain, I could have easily sunk to the bottom of that lake.
yeah, the gutter just tipped you, and you just went.
I belly flopped, and I remember thinking like,
This is it.
I could sink right now. I'm a bit fucked up. I could just go down. Decided to surface for the boys. You know what I mean? Didn't want to ruin their weekend with a death.
I'm not fucking leaving. Not leaving.
I didn't want to put a damper on things.
No, we had so many good memories. What I'll do is I'll save all the wild ones. Spenny might have been nearby, but I'll save all those for a subsequent Muskoka talk when we chat
we'll
about
disassociate.
Yeah, we did so many other like just boating, surfing, skiing.
just so much fun, man. Like what a place to
Nully's
live.
high-speed boats. Like
Nully, yeah, our friend Andrew Nullmeyer we want to have on as well.
we could do a whole segment on Muskoka.
Absolutely. So maybe we'll, Nully probably wouldn't want to talk too much about his stories either. So we'll probably have to just separate it. But so we're friends now. We've been in Muskoka. We've been chilling. We've been seeing each other in the summers. Still not hanging out in the city though.
Yeah, I'm hard pressed by that. Although this week we played some shinny, got after it on the ice.
We had lunch as well.
Well, just because Spencer is still in Windsor in school, so he's
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, but
like,
he was
very
living
occasionally.
he was living in Toronto 2 blocks up when we were friends up north, and we would just never hang.
Yeah.
But then he went to Western.
Yeah, that's true. And then that's how I met Rob too.
He's a frat
And
lad.
Trav was there the year ahead of me and was a big hotshot fraternity lad on campus. Not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
And then I came under his wing pretty quick and joined the fraternity. Met Robbie.
Well, I remember you had
handful of other
doubts
guys.
initially.
Yeah, you didn't join.
Oh yeah,
right
first year
away.
I didn't join right away. Yeah, that's right. Shit. I was unsure, but second year I came in hot.
Yeah.
I think I
had a
met
change
you-
of heart heavily.
What was your thought process back then? Like, what did you think about frats and all that?
There's all those stigmas with fraternity life, et cetera, et cetera. Not that I was thinking about it too much at that time in my life, but I don't know. I just thought like time commitment wise, first year, et cetera, learning how to handle life on your own. You know, it's Western. It can get out of hand for sure. So I just took it in stride and went slow. And
So did you know you were gonna eventually do it, or did something change your mind?
definitely you, man. You were a big influence on this. I know we've talked about this before. Obviously getting to know you more in first year, hanging out, and the type of fraternity that we sort of sought out to build, and like the ideals that you had as a young guy that not a lot of people had were certainly things that I wanted to develop and put into my life. And then that sort of changed the idea that I had of a fraternity when I was just, you know, a kid going into his first year of university at Western. And then we really did some fun and cool things over there. Partying was fun, but we also did a lot of other stuff that was just,
There was a lot more
unbeatable,
to it.
yeah.
Because right when he was coming in, right, we were going through that rebuild, and they put the fraternity on the backs of Mark Stanyus, who we had on a couple episodes ago, and
Stanyush.
what I said Stanyus. Is that not it? No, you say Stanuits.
Stanuits, yeah.
Stanyus.
That's
I
wait,
think
it's not
Stanush.
Stanuits?
That's what I thought it was.
It's definitely not Stanuits. It's definitely Stanyush or Stanyus.
Stanyus, yeah.
Either way, did a hell of a
Regardless.
job.
Did it? Yeah, it was on the backs of some of the younger guys, and I guess you were a part of the rebuild then, because you would have been an incoming member. You had a lot of influence just because you were. I don't know.
Jumped on the exec, I think, in my first year as annotator.
Annotator.
Very important role. Other big guns, I know Ben George is a big guest on the show. He was a major influence there as well. And then it just started rolling, and all these guys are crushing it, you know.
Tons of people we've had on the show actually.
Well-
We're all part of it. You know, Smeaton, Eli,
Yeah, huge.
George, Joey,
Yeah.
now Spencer.
Well,
I don't know why I keep calling you. I never call you Spencer. I don't know why.
Yeah, very
I feel like I have to,
formal.
like,
It's part of the
formalize
set.
Yeah, Spenny.
What's your middle name?
Oh God,
Is it something really like regal and white?
it's Boyd.
I knew that actually. Spencer Boyd Withers the fourth.
Boyd Withers.
He comes from a long line of good Canadian men. No, yeah. So the fraternity a big part of our development because, like, there's 80 guys in there a year, and 20 guys graduate, 20 guys come in. You meet hundreds of people, and as Spenny said, like, as much as there is partiers and there's people partying, they all seem to have something a bit more going on. Like, I don't know. Like, they're impressive people, and we saw that in the alumni. Like, a lot of the alumni of the fraternity are impressive people, and I think there's a big part of well-rounded people that mesh well with fraternity life.
It's an overlooked part of the fraternity, you know, because everyone's got this sort of just stereotypical view of what fraternity is like. Oh, they just party all the time. They don't really do much, and you know. But like, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that once you involve yourself, you actually get to see that side of things, and you make some great connections.
And there's definitely hard work. Like, if you were on the exec, like I know we were all on the exec at some points throughout the time. It's a lot of work too, and there's a lot of decision making.
100%.
But what I realized as well is, like, the partying. The more I listen to, like, other successful people, at least the people that I look up to, like athletes and musicians, and even like the bigger like business people I look up to, they all fucking party.
Yeah, it's just balance. It's just balance. You just got to balance, and that's that fraternity taught people that too. You know.
Yeah, it's like you can party your face off, like, but if you don't do your school or don't do the exact things and stuff like that, this place will collapse.
Yeah, 100%. And those were fun years that we had together. And 100%.
100%.
I've said 100% 6 times.
100% you have. You've said it about 100% times.
You're just feeling about 100% today.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go through the frat. You met Robbie. Obviously, you guys mesh. We get to graduation. I know you had one extra year there just to, you know, make sure the frat was in good hands and run some stuff.
Yeah, so I did an extra year, lived in the fraternity house.
You guys had a wild group there.
That year was bonkers.
Yeah.
Like,
That was a good one to end it on.
10 guys living there. So
Yeah.
and Connor Walton was there. Shout out to him. Shout out to Kamo. Last night we were up at his place.
Yeah.
And that year I sort of just rounded up what I was doing in school, tacked on another degree, wrote my LSAT, applied to law school, and then yeah, that was it. Sayonara.
So you knew you wanted to be a lawyer going into fifth year, or was there? At what point did you know you wanted to become a lawyer?
I think I knew going into second year.
Really?
Yeah, and because first year was just, you know, learning the ropes, and then second year dialed it in, like, academically, socially, fraternity, like, just did a lot more things that were goal oriented.
Is there any influence, like, in your life? Like, how did you kind of figure your path out?
My pops is huge, great relationship with my old man.
He's also huge.
Even though we
He's
never
also
talk.
fucking.
Yeah.
What
That's
does he
a big
do?
boy.
He is in sales and works in like software, movie software.
Shout out to Withers Pops and his ma for hosting us tonight. Actually,
Yeah,
they're having a
that's gonna
big
be
shaker.
that's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of prep work to do today.
Yeah, thanks for taking an hour out of your Christmas party day.
But yeah, so he was a big influence on me. Not so much pushing me academically, but just exposing me to like different careers and like his friends who had different jobs, and I'd get introduced to them, hang out with them, 15, 16 years old or whatever, and like just sort of learn and see what lives those guys had. And what I wanted to do was not based on necessarily what they were doing, but just based on like, the guy that they were. And one of them or two of them were a lawyer, and just worked out that way. Just thought like that's something I want to do.
That's cool. Yeah, that can influence you a lot, definitely, because it's really about the guy. It's really about the person, right? Like,
yeah, and so many people are molded by someone they look up to, and in that case, I was just lucky enough that it was close to home.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, you're coming through fifth year. You pick up another degree. You write your LSAT, and you get into the University of Windsor.
Yeah, and down in the dual JD program. So I'm 3 days a week or 2 days a week in the U.S. and then the other in Windsor.
What is the dual JD program? What does that mean?
So yeah, that was faux pas. Eh?
What? Like saying acronyms on this, like,
or just saying expecting people to know something.
Yeah.
Especially this, but
faux
so
pas.
I go 3 days a week in the U.S. at a separate law school, the University of Detroit, Detroit Mercy actually, and then the other side at Windsor. So at the end of my year here, my degree in 3 years, I'll be eligible for the U.S. or Canada.
That's wicked. So I guess the only benefit of doing that is that you can practice law in the States and Canada.
Exactly, yeah. And you do them both at the same time, like
yeah.
So half and half, all 3 years, same timeline as a degree would take you in either jurisdiction. Bang it out in.
Is it that much different though if you get your law degree, say you're strictly at like Toronto Law School, and like can you go down to the States, or is
and there's exams you can take that like create an equivalency for you to be able to practice there and things like that, but it's just an alternate sort of route.
Yeah. Do you see much difference between when you spend your time at the American school versus when you're at the Windsor school?
Big time, yeah. The U.S. is highly political, and politics are infused in a lot of what we do in class. The teaching style is very different. In the U.S., it's very Socratic, so like the professor will engage students, call on them, that sort of thing.
Are they armed?
And dangerous?
Yeah. Okay,
No,
cool.
but I've got a great story actually.
Okay.
So I spent my first summer after my first year of law school working in Detroit, and I worked in a criminal courthouse. I clerked for a judge.
I'm sure
Wow.
you saw some characters in
And
there.
that's 15 other stories right there. Like I saw some gruesome cases, actually, really scary stuff.
Jeez.
But my judge one day, he calls me into his office for like whatever he's gonna get me to do, and he tosses his like gym bag, but like I don't know, briefcase on the desk, and it just a huge thud. And I'm like, whoa, what was that? Like sounded like there's a brick in there. And he's like, oh, that's my gun. And I laugh thinking he's totally kidding. And then he just pulls it out. And it's in a holster and everything, but I'm just like completely shocked. He's just strapped at all times.
I would be strapped if I was in Detroit.
Yeah, and a lot of people are.
The
There's
Detroit
like
courthouse?
Oh, if you're a member of the law enforcement in Detroit, like off duty, like any judge, lawyer, or anything like that,
Protect
I'd have 10
yourself.
guns.
Yeah, and
What kind of gun was it? Just a pistol?
yeah, I don't even know. It was like it looked like a revolver.
AK?
Oh, Magnum.
Like it had the
Big dirty hairy
revolving
guy.
thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it would have been a Magnum.
Not a gun guy.
I don't know. We went shooting, you and I.
Yeah, that's true.
I have
I've shot a few
picture
guns
on my
before,
phone of you
but-
looking real stupid with your red vest on and the orange earbuds and the eyeglasses.
I
Oh,
can
yeah.
see you being a gun
I remember
guy.
I got a casing in my shirt and burned my neck.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was brutal.
No, that's a good
That was
place.
a lot of fun.
Shout out Target Sports Canada in Stouffville. Public shooting range. You can go out there. You spend like $200 between the two of us. You can shoot everything from like a Desert Eagle to a
AKs.
sniper. None of it's automatic because it's all semi-automatic in Canada, but you can still shoot an assault rifle on semi-auto mode.
Yeah, it shows you what I know about guns.
Just side note on guns. I did my gun licenses last year.
Oh, no way.
I picked up a little 22 for up north. I just hit cans. Like, I don't want to kill anything until
Not
yet. But I was taking this gun license course, and there's a lot of crazy rules in Canada about guns. For example, if you have a handgun, you can't even drive it home from the store. You have to buy it, apply for a permit to drive it home. You have to you have to be a registered member of a gun range, apply for a permit to leave your house with it, and you can only drive straight to the gun range. You can't get groceries. You can't get gas. You can only go right to the gun range and back with a handgun. And there's all these rules, and then like criminals are just like, I got guns, and they're like, woo! Like,
We got like 100 murders this year in Toronto or something.
I'm like, why are you punishing the law abiding? It's like I'm not gonna pull into the grocery store and like fucking as a law abiding gun owner, but kind of nuts. Also, some of the people in the course I was taking it. The gun courses are like one of those courses where, you know, when you do like Boat Smart or whatever, where it's just an absolute shoe-in.
Yeah.
They give you all the answers. Or Smart Serve. It
Totally.
was like that if you take the course. And I remember there being this guy in there, and he was so stupid that like the person would say, okay, you know, like, where do you put your finger? Or they'd be like, oh, when you're holding a gun, you have your finger outside the trigger guard at all times. And then he'd be like, okay, so everyone, where do you put your finger? And this guy would be like, on the trigger. And they'd be like, what? And this guy sat next to me, flooded my ear the entire weekend. I did this course with my dad, and my dad's smart. He recognizes weirdos. So I sit down, this guy sits next to me, and instead of my dad saving me, he walks to a different table and sits next to like another father and just hung me out to dry. This guy flooded my ear all weekend, and he's like, oh, I'm going to be a security guard or a Brink security. They get a gun on them. So he's going to be on the streets with the gun. He's like, oh, and then I'm going to become a cop. And I'm like, you are going to kill someone.
God help.
God help us. I was
Trigger
like,
happy.
I was like, if you get a gun, we all need guns.
gun.
Yeah. But small side note on guns there. So working in Detroit, not a very safe place. Like, where did you live? What did that feel like?
So I lived in Windsor, crossed the border every day, like same as I usually would. Had a Nexus card, so that's pretty easy. I got another good story actually about that.
Did you ever have any run-ins? Like,
no,
encounters with
never. Like with the border, you mean?
or just like with some characters, you know,
Yeah.
being sort of like
a couple shady
sort of
characters,
surrounded
you know?
by that group of people, you know.
The courthouse, like the criminal one where I work, is obviously swarming with cops. There's also a jail adjacent to it where once you're essentially like either you're sentenced or you're getting sentenced and you're arraigned into court, so you get put in this jail in the meantime because you've already been arrested.
Yeah.
And like there's all these underground tunnels between these buildings, but on the floor level or on the street level, it's just there's cops everywhere. Like criminals are coming in and out either like in those tunnels or on the street, and like no one's doing anything in that area.
Yeah, not a place to do crime. You're saying.
So
Yeah.
like it's completely safe. And
Okay.
like I said, like everyone's carrying a gun, so like no one's screwing around.
What's your story about the passport?
Yeah, so if you lose your passport in the US, it turns out you can easily get back into Canada. I went to a Lions game with a bunch of my colleagues, and I left my jacket in my chair and came back to it 10 minutes later after getting a beer or something. And
No port.
yeah, no.
Someone stole your passport.
And yeah, I guess someone like went through my jacket or something.
Fuck.
And I didn't notice because I had some other shit in that pocket. And by the time we were already leaving and heading toward the border, then I noticed.
Yeah.
So I'm calling the stadium, freaking out. I wait a couple days to like see if I can get it back. Never turns up. But I get to the border.
Imagine
and
someone
I'm like,
steals it and just returns it to the stadium. It's like, I stole this, but you know, he's gonna want it back.
I wish. And so I get to the border guard and they're like, yeah, where's your passport? And I'm like, I don't have one. And they're like, what? Like, we don't get that answer usually. So I'm like, I'm Canadian. I live here in Windsor. Explain the situation. Show them like my health card and my driver's license. And they're just like, oh yeah, come on right in.
Yep, you're good.
It was totally fine.
Yeah, no questions asked.
Getting the other way though.
But
So
yeah, but then you can't go back into the U.S. obviously.
so what was the process like? Claiming that your passport was stolen.
Yeah, so then I had to go to the passport office, claim it stolen, pay all this money to get a new one, expedite the process so I can get it as soon as possible.
Because you have to go to class.
takes forever.
Yeah.
Puts a real wrench into my schedule for about a week or two, and then I finally get it all figured out. But what a nightmare! So yeah, don't leave
Yeah.
your jacket unattended at a Lions game.
Duly
You
noted.
need your passport to go to class. Like definitely a bad bounce there. So what's life like as a law student? Like what is your year like? Like how crazy is it? How hard is it?
It honestly, I like to pretend that it's still like it is in undergrad, but the gears are shifted. Obviously, you start out this semester, it's pretty light the first couple weeks, but then it all just builds up the whole semester. We still get a couple holidays, same as undergrad would. The Christmas break's a real nice one.
Nice.
Your first year is insane. The dual program, I'd recommend it to anyone, by the way. It has its quirks, but it's also literally double the course load. So
That makes sense.
You're working twice as hard.
yeah, you're literally taking almost double the course load.
Like I can imagine first year just regular law school would be like quite an adjustment, but you moving
Yeah, and
into
you're
this
totally
dual
out of your element.
course.
And everyone that usually enters law school is pretty used to succeeding relative to their peers wherever they came from. Everyone's intelligent, does well in school. So that's like a whole another playing field where you got all these students. It's a competition again. Everyone's buzzing for grades, and like you got to go along to get along and just get your work done.
Are you doing so? Is the work a lot of reading, researching, writing? Is it?
It's bare reading. If you don't like reading, you're tough.
Do they have all the books on audio?
I wish.
Okay.
Books are also like $200. Like it's ridiculous. So if they had them on audio, I just love that.
You're reading like a couple hours probably every day, right?
Yeah, easily. Between books or whatever the material is.
Has it got easier though?
For sure, you get the hang of it. Like I'm speaking more first year relative. Like it's you get the hang of it as you go.
But I mean just your reading skills.
Oh, I'm sure they've improved. I haven't noticed, but
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of? Have you had time in like I know you're late into your third year now. Do you do a lot of mock trials, courtroom stuff? Like how's your court game?
I did a couple in years previous. I haven't done any this year. They went super well.
Do you just get in their head? Like I can see you just terrorizing some
They're
person.
really fun too. Like if that's your bag, because like you'll get some issue. I can't even remember what the ones I did were right off the top of my head, but let me think about it. I'll come back.
Nice.
And you'll get some issue to digest, and like there'll be some relevant laws. And then you basically just go up there like debate style, one-on-one, usually like in these little tiny mocks, or and you throw down your best 15 minutes, they throw down their best 15 minutes, you maybe have 2 minutes rebuttal or something, and the chips fall and the judges just like it's a lot of fun, especially if you get the dub. Like it's
Imagine if they were basing like pass or fails off of like who wins, or like marks.
Well, I definitely are marked, right? But are these issues that could go either way always, or is there like a clear like?
Yeah, no, all of them are like pretty fit, like 50-50. Like they make it very arguable for both sides.
And are they cases? Are they like famous cases that have been like done in the past, or are they all just sort of new material that gets written for classes?
Yeah, mostly based on current event. Like if there's some development in the law that's highly debatable right now in current era, there'll be some moot point available to stress or to key in on or something like that, and then they'll make the mock about that.
Imagine if they made it like about like gender and like bathrooms and stuff like that, the type of heat that would come in that courtroom.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Do they ever go back? They ever go back on cases like famous trials and explain how it could have gone the other way, or like do you study how? I mean, do you ever get like sort of that side of things?
That's that's something that like the lawyer usually just sort of is like, oh, if that's not the law, then whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of cases that you get into, and like a lot of the law that gets decided by judges will go like 5-4 split or something like that, where like half these guys that we've appointed to make our laws in Canada actually disagree with the majority. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 5 guys said this, but 4 guys out of our supreme judges
think it's the opposite.
Yeah, and so like you get those, but the law's the law, and that's how it rolls.
Yeah.
So we don't get bogged down in the dissenting opinion. So like we know what it is sometimes, but most people just move on, you know.
Yeah, you're just trying to understand sort of like the bigger picture.
That's just my big picture point on it. Like,
yeah.
Did you get
Things
some
change.
dubs in the room?
I did.
Did they bring out a WWE belt?
Yeah, it's a small piece of paper.
Oh, nice. Like they could add so much fun to law school. You know what I mean? Like have ring girls, or guys. I guess it's 2018, 2019. If you're listening to this now, and like WWE belts. You get to wear the belt around campus all week and stuff like that.
Yeah, you should start a club. Make it like that.
Speaking of which, you did start a club at school.
Yeah, the humble segue, eh?
That was not planned.
Yeah, not planned. Yeah, so interesting. I've had a major influence in art, fashion, design my whole life. My mom's an artist and former teacher. And I was super into photography. My girlfriend is very into fashion.
Also at
and
Windsor with you.
who's also law
In
student at
school,
Windsor
yeah.
Law. So shout out
You're
to
battled her
Chloe.
in the courtroom.
Oh wow.
No, can you imagine? Oh my god. And like the draws are random, so like it could have happened.
Well, that's insane.
Yeah.
Same year and everything.
And yeah, so we've been going through that together, which is nice. But yeah, the club sort of it's called the Fashion Law Society. We do stuff on both sides of the border, and basically the club explores legal careers in the fashion industry. So all these major corporations require a lot of legal work, obviously, and it's a lot of actual corporate law, but it goes a lot deeper into that, into like human rights and the various issues that the fashion industry brings to the legal world.
Canada Goose.
And yeah, Canada Goose, bang,
Bing bang boom.
and bang bang boom. And the club really sort of has a fun spin, like you were saying jokingly, but it has a really fun, and like the fashion world can be fun, like fashion shows. We had an amazing fashion show with Spenny Green, who
He's
is
there
a Crescent
too?
boy. Yeah.
Oh, is he?
We co-hosted, maybe, I don't know.
No. Well, definitely Western guy.
We co-hosted with the Movember Fashion Show Society, or Fashion Movember Club, and the Fashion Society hosted a fashion show, and we raised about $15,000 from Movember. Not a big deal. And we do a lot of other stuff like that. That's just fun, and it's on top of the career building stuff that we do and the networking events. We just have fun with it, and that's a good outlet in our law school career.
Like, yeah, as much work as it is, like there is still, like, you play on the law hockey team. You do go to, like, you went to the Lions game. You can get away for a weekend here or there. You started this club, which is really impressive. It just forces you to be a better person, like a better worker, a smarter person. You know what I mean?
Totally. And I think it goes back to what we started off with, is balance. And that's what it's always been about for me, is just finding that balance.
Dude, that's amazing. And it's really cool. We haven't had someone doing this jam on yet, but one thing we all know is how much of a grind any of our friends in law school, or ones that are now working, it's insane. The fact that, like, there's so much responsibility too now. Like, again, you have to be really careful about your image. Like, coming on this was a bit of a gamble, so thanks for doing that.
No problem.
Question for you: shows like Judge Judy and Judge Joe Brown and that kind of stuff. I don't know. This just popped into my head. I mean, obviously,
What goes on inside that dome of yours?
Question for you, Judge Judy, thoughts?
Smash or pass?
I mean, obviously they're real judges, and they, like, real cases that they're dealing with. But I mean, like, you don't see any of that. Is like, how is the law different that they're allowed to film in those? You may not know the answer to this.
Yeah, I definitely don't know the answer, and
because there's none of that in Canada,
can't even
right?
give legal advice, as I am
I can
not a
chime in
lawyer.
Yeah, no, I was just
I
thinking
think
about that.
they're pre-screened, pre-decided cases,
Okay,
and then they agree to film, like, kind of like
So like all television.
it's a reenactment.
it's a reenactment.
I don't believe she makes the judges or the decision.
Oh,
on
they're not live cases.
They're I think they're pre-decided. Like, she might be the judge on them, or they might have
Yeah.
been, but they get selected. I don't know this for sure, so I'd Google it, but I remember being curious about this at one point in time as well, and, like, this is what I kind of remember digging up. But I also could be talking out of my ass. How you doing?
This Judge Judy, she did tickle my mind once. I did look.
We've all been there. Like, this can't be real. Also, so entertaining, and she's like a billionaire now.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
done
she
well for
crushes it.
herself.
That's a different type of lawyer.
Maybe that's a jam for you further down the line.
Well,
eh?
okay, this is what we were
Running
saying.
your own television empire.
I was telling Spenny this like 2 days ago. I was like, Spenny used to be into photography, as he said. Like, he still is a weapon. Like, he's a stud. And I was thinking that like, it's almost rude to keep this guy under wraps. Like, he's got to somehow, you know those like doctors that like have their TV shows or like are famous because they're like, I'm a doctor, but I'm also hot. You know what I mean? I'm saying Spenny could easily be in that world, and he's got the U.S. degree too. So we were saying, like, you and I are obviously going to go down to L.A. at some point when we get super famous. He could be like a high-profile lawyer, you know, buzzing around the states, like whatever it is.
He'll be big time one day.
Yeah, he'll be in the posse of
He'll
famous
be like
people.
a
You're
Harvey.
killing me, guys.
What's his name? Harvey from Suits.
Oh yeah,
Like good looking, well dressed.
yeah.
Like done well for himself.
I'm
kinda
not
guy.
fitting out the door when I leave. My ego is just gonna be.
Oh yeah, buddy. Let just that's what we're here for, to pump up the guests. We also
I wouldn't
pump
mind,
ourselves up.
buzzing around in a helicopter doing something cool, but I don't know if I'll sort out the. I'm hot.
No, it's not. You're more of a
It
shadows
just comes
guy.
with the territory.
You're more of a shadows guy. You're hoping to get discovered, but Robbie and I were the complete opposite. We're like, look at us, everybody, take a look at us.
Someone please listen to us.
So if we get there, you'll be in the posse, and they'll be like, who's this stud? I'll be like,
The new entourage.
yeah. I'll be like, he's our lawyer. And they'll be like, holy shit, like, you know what I mean?
And
like,
agent.
And agent. And, oh, yeah, lawyers are agents
Who's
a lot
this
of time.
Yeah,
man
man.
of mystery.
Lawyers are agents a lot of time.
Yeah.
You'd be able to handle
Yeah,
contracts.
it's
can
certainly
handle all
something
legal.
that like that opens you up to long term, like
Something you'd be
super
interested in?
cool. Yeah, especially that industry, like it really plays off my interests.
I think law in general is just good background knowledge for anything further down the line. If you ever decide that you don't want to practice
totally.
anymore,
Well,
you can move into any type of job, and the knowledge is applicable.
Well, if you ever want to do some, pro bono work early on, I'm sure we're gonna have a couple contracts and stuff. And then when we get more famous, we'll definitely, you'll get famous too, and you can be the high-paid agent. But what I was saying is gonna go
4/5 commish.
4/5, yeah,
Just
yeah.
like the real estate deal.
Yeah. What I was gonna say though is touching on what Rob.
Cancellation fees.
Oh my God! You could negotiate our rates and cancellation fees. If you heard our last episode, you heard his fucking turkey. But being a lawyer, a lot of people, for me, I always thought it was the jam that people do when they come out of school and they're like, I don't know what I want to be yet, but this opens up doors for so many things, and it's just like such a strong place to go to kind of figure yourself out. But you knew going in. But what Rob said there is you can essentially go into anything as a lawyer. Anything.
Yeah. And that I should have really touched on that when I said what was my influence of doing this. Like that idea and that, like, knowing that going in, it was a huge part of it, that it's a door opener. You can figure it out as you go, that sort of thing. And it just becomes a figuring out process.
That's awesome. So like a really good option for people out there that are, maybe still struggling, but know that they want to they want to land in a certain ballpark, and that if that ballpark touches law at any corner, not a bad option, especially if you have the funds, the smarts, the time. It opens up doors. Obviously, if you want to be a musician or real estate agent, actually, even I know lawyers that go into real estate. It literally touches almost every corner of
Anything. Yeah, it's just such great.
You can't
schooling.
hide.
You can't hide from the law.
I'm just looking at your notes here. What is Mambo number 5?
Oh, my lip syncing days.
That was one of the stories that we had to
Okay.
nix early on.
Okay. Yeah.
I do know all the words to Mambo number 5 though.
Not afraid to sing it
Not
either.
afraid to sing it.
Bushes.
Bush.
Aim for the bushes.
Aim for the bushes. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you do. Think about the pathway down to Sean's boathouse.
Oh yeah, there's some dangerous turns.
Yeah.
There used to be no railings,
Nope. Nothing to
And-
lean on.
and thankfully there are soft bushes below those stairs.
But that's probably all we'll say there. We pretty much went through this list, but so we've talked about this jam. We've talked about as far into stories as we can. But what are the next couple years of your life looking like then? Like, cause you're not a lawyer yet. You have to do a lot between now and then.
Yeah, exactly. And so graduated in May, write the bar exams in June, and move back to Toronto for that process as well. Like come home, and then I'll head back to work in the month of August roughly, and that's like the articling process. You got to put in like this 10-month understudy. They call it articling for the licensing.
And
process.
that's a part of becoming a lawyer. You need to article.
Yeah, exactly. In Canada, at least, in most provinces. I think they have it different out in like Alberta and BC.
They do things different around there.
Yeah, they make it just a
you have to milk
cakewalk for those
cows.
guys.
What about in the States?
In the States, very similar, but no articling.
You have to-
so you write
write
your
the bar
bars
and
and
you're
then you're a
right into it?
lawyer.
Yeah, in Alberta, you have to milk cows for 6 months. In the States, you have to pass basic military training. And in Canada, you got to article.
Speaking of Alberta, my roommate,
So Alberta,
Calgary boy, Oakville boy, now Calgary boy. He's moving out there after school. His family lives out there now. He was a great part of. Shout out to Parker. He was a great part of coming to law school. Randomly got linked up with him through a mutual friend to be roommates, and this is actually a hilarious story. So maybe we ended out with this story.
Yeah.
Are we coming close to time?
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely coming close to time. The only thing I wanted to ask you is how people get jobs coming out of school.
All right, we'll do that after. We got time then.
Okay, cool.
So this story, my buddy Wyatt Cottingham, he's like, oh yeah, you're going to Windsor Law. Like my buddy Parker's going there. You got to meet him. Like you guys would be great together. Like you should be roommates. I'm like, perfect. Like I've been down there hunting for apartments. Like can't find anything like super great for one person, but I found like a couple awesome 2-persons. So I'm just gonna rent one of these 2-persons out. Like, and if I find someone great, otherwise I have to bite the bullet for a year or something. And
Didn't even consider the.
No, I did. So this opportunity comes along
Oh,
with
right.
Parker guy, and then we meet up, we work it out, we start living together. And then like 2 weeks into school, I'm talking to Wyatt, and I'm like, yeah, it's working out great. Like good guy. He's like, right on. I'm like, so how do you guys know each other? And he's like, oh, like I don't really even know the guy. I just like seen him around on campus. Like I've seen him at parties. like they're not even that close. Like they both know each other, but like it was just like, yeah, like you guys would be great. And it turned out that it worked out, but it was just like the funniest realization.
That's
Parker and I were like,
hilarious.
yeah, what the hell? Like
Wyatt, whoever you are, you're an excellent judge of who good roommates would be. Maybe there's a career in that for you. You can just at a glance be like, yeah, you'd be good roommates
matchmaker.
or matchmaker in relationships as well.
Flatmates or
Like
something.
speaking of which, so like you and your girlfriend didn't want to live together at school.
No, it'd be a little tough, like long days at school. Just keep that separate for now.
Keep business and pleasure separate.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so just to wrap things up, how is the job process? How hard is it to get jobs? How does that whole process work?
I was asking him about this the other day too, actually.
Yeah,
Fucking
so-
award.
You got one?
Yeah, I do.
And maybe a WWE belt.
I was gonna give you a glass of champagne.
That works
Okay,
too.
okay.
Yeah, that's good. The job hunt's pretty nuts, especially in Ontario. There's the school runs a recruitment process, like all law schools across Canada do it, and big law firms pop down to the schools, interview candidates based on their applications, and they like buzz everyone through the ringer, sort of thing. And it's pretty nuts. Like you go into like a conference room, like in Windsor, it's at the Caesars Casino, where they have these massive conferences.
Really?
And every like 16 square feet of the room is like cubed off with tents, and they're interview booths. And so like you pop in for your 15-minute interview and then buzz to the next one, et cetera, et cetera. And it like kind of just like that determines like your next set of interviews, and then it just goes like that, and then you get hired, you don't get
How
hired.
many people
sort
would
of
be
thing.
at this conference?
I don't know, a couple hundred at least per school.
Did the frat review prepare you for that at all? You remember how intense that was? Were you
Yeah.
part of them when they interviewed us all?
No, I
No.
wasn't.
Oh
but,
my God.
I do remember hearing about it, but Yeah, interview, like you just prep for it. It's super competitive.
Grades come into play.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff, your whole resume, CV. But it's not like the be all end all. There's other, like, you can just go outside of that process and find work.
Did you get hired through that process?
I went through the process, yeah, and was successful, and it worked out for me. It's totally nerve-wracking for everyone.
You were saying about 40% of your graduating class would have a job going out of school this year, right?
Yeah.
Like a job lined up.
Yeah.
So 60%
like,
of people
at this point, and then over the next 4 months, like the final semester, people will chip
the
away.
stragglers
Yeah.
get picked up. The fourth round draft picks,
But also there's got to be the people that make it out of school and they don't have a job lined up too,
Yeah.
right? They're searching
they
for, like,
go
another
down
year.
to the American League.
They're on the streets now.
No, they figure it out, or they move up to Nunavut or something. I don't know.
Public defenders. No, I don't even know anything about law. Just on the review process, I just remembered a story when we were going through reviews at the frat. Do you remember, like, they flew in a couple bigwig execs to do it?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have seen my high school.
Bigwig, like, is that is that an old term for, when
I don't know. Ask Judge Judy.
Yeah, it's a judge term.
when they used to wear those
Big wigs.
white wigs, big wigs?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, Judge Judy would know,
Makes
though.
sense.
Good
Now-
Christmas gift, if you guys are wondering.
For
I'd
just
love one of those wigs.
would you?
No.
Good Halloween costume, though.
That would be unreal.
Imagine if you got a big wig and a gun. You're just at Detroit Judge.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So they flew these big cats in. They're executives that are alumni. They're like VPs or CEOs from different companies, and they come in. They flew into London just to filter out the bad weeds from our chapter. And dude, this has happened to me so many times. But my high school emblem is super Masonic. Like, it has the Masonic.
Oh, yeah.
And I wear my high school ring. And I've been like challenged as a Mason like several times. Like, one time I was in Mexico on my grade 12 grad trip, and I had my hand on the bar, and some guy was like, "Are you traveling, man?" And I'm like, yeah, like, I'm in Mexico. I know what the fuck he's talking about. He's like, no. He's like, "Are you traveling, man?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, with my family." Like, what do you mean? And he's like, "Oh, no, sorry." He's like, "It's your ring. I thought it was a Mason ring." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Thought nothing of it." I've been challenged a few other times. Just people like
They all say that too?
No, they do different things.
So you haven't been able to decipher what their challenge is
But
yet.
the thing is, I heard Masonic was supposed to be secret, and people are telling me all this stuff. Like I won't name names, but people being like, "I'm like part of the Knights Templar," or like whatever. And like, I'm just like, what is this world?
Yeah.
But it was on the review. They were fucking in my face about it. I had my hand on the desk, and the guy is just like, "All right, tell me one thing. How long you been a Mason?" I'm like, "Oh, no. I knew at that point when he saw it, like, no, you've got this confused." I was like, "This is a high school ring." He's like, don't fucking lie to me. He's like, "You don't think I know?" He's like, "How long you been a Mason?" Because apparently if someone asks you if you're a Mason, you're supposed to deny or change the subject. My dad told me this. He read a book on it.
Oh, okay.
Right. And I'm denying, and apparently I'm doing exactly what a Mason would do. And this guy was grilling me. He's like, "I know the Masonic roots. Like, Sigma Chi's got tons of them." He's like, "You can't lie to me. I need to know. Like, tell me all this stuff." And I was like, "Please, sir, like, not a Mason." I had to show him the back of my ring, which said Amunda Rota, which is something I got inscribed on the back of my grad ring, which means dirty wheels. What? Dude, like, that's
Why? Why would you wait? Just pause there for a sec. Why did you get dirty wheels?
Okay, well, when I was graduating, they were like, "What do you want inscribed on your grad ring?" And this is a day of, and I thought of nothing. So a few of my buddies and I, we went to the computer lab, and we went on Google Translate, and we put in Latin something we thought that was jokes at the time. We put in dirty wheels, because I was like a big, like that guy's got dirty wheels if he's like pulling a lot of girls, and really stupid. But yeah, so I got a Munda Rota on the back, and my first year roommate was a Latin major. And he was, we were talking about grad rings that came up. We were living together. And I said, mine said Amunda Rota. And he's like, "Oh, like unclean rotor." Filthy rotor. I'm like, "Is that what that means?" He's like, "Yeah, like its literal translation is an unclean rotor."
That's hilarious. hilarious.
So I fucking sewered myself. But when I showed this guy that, he's like, okay, no one would get dirty wheels on the back of a.
Wait,
Mason.
who else? Also, who takes Latin as a major these days?
Oh, my first year roommate.
Wild.
Oh, huge. Like I talked about it a little bit in our first episode. Like he was.
Wait, the one that was like running the ship?
He was an RA. Yeah, he was a resident advisor.
Okay.
He was a bit of a nerd. Really nice guy. He was in med school. We terrorized him, but he was such a nice guy and he put up with it all. But yeah, he was a Latin major, or he was a Latin minor. I don't know.
Filthy rotor.
You feel that I have forever on the back of my grad
That's
ring.
hilarious.
But that was just a little story about that. The last story I want to talk about is Rob and I were at a law party recently. And I'm not going to say any details because let's just say NDAs were involved, but they were not abiding the law by any means.
They got crazy, eh?
They were 7 kinds of fucked up.
I'm talking.
I'm talking.
We can't
Head
say
over
it.
biscuit.
There's an NDA. We can't say anything.
Yeah.
So I'm talking NDA. I'm talking. Can't talk about it.
I'm talking the one where you sign something. You can't talk about it.
I don't even know how NDAs work, but they were very powerful. They were wealthy. It was a big firm. Won't even say what type of law they were in. And the stuff that was going on in this party was something you'd expect to see at like a rock star after party, except they were all like older lawyers. Like I don't even know. I don't even know what I could say. Like probably
These
nothing.
holiday parties, man.
Holiday gets the best of everyone.
The holiday, they get these people in a crazy mood.
Well, it's funny because like you're here and you're like, I can't talk anything about my image and all that stuff like that. You know, I really want to keep a respectable image, which you have to because people can use it against you going forward. But I have enough on all these lawyers. Like I've seen them do. Like I'm like, how do you trust me like this? Like I'm just like
They got the NDA.
they got the NDA. I
Yeah.
guess they could bury me. By the way, would never do that if you're watching. You probably aren't, but your secret's safe with me. Please don't come after us. Thank you.
But yeah, that's about it. I think. You got anything else?
No, buddy. Let's cheers. This is
Cheers,
episode 1.
Episode 1 of the new year.
Happy 2019. We'll have a
boys.
Spen,
Congrats.
thank you, Spenny.
all the best.
Thanks
in
so
your,
much.
finishing up your final semester, and we'll see you when you get back in the summer.
100%.
And tonight when we're at your Christmas
And
party.
tonight.
Yeah, that too.
And
the
tomorrow when we
holidays.
play shinny and the next day.
Yeah.
To Spenny.
I live down the street.
over the holidays. Yeah.
To Spenny. Cheers.
Cheers.
Just want to add a last note that I'm super proud of these guys. 1 year, honored to be the first guest of the new year. And the accountability in the room is just crazy. It's awesome. So tip of the hat to you guys.
Tip of
Thank
the
you.
cock to you, buddy. And because it's a new season, we will actually see you next Tuesday.
Yes.
We don't have to do the next Tuesday thing. Next week.
Straight next Tuesday.
And by next week, 3 weeks from now, because we're recording this early, we will have an episode. Robbie and I will now be doing our interviews, our jams, and we'll also be doing a weekly report of how our fame journey is coming and the journey to becoming rock stars. So, see ya.